Make an analysis of mind management. It's a book written by Dr. Steve Peters in 2012. It's a psychological book. Um, Dr. Steve Peters is consultant psychiatrist and specialized in optimizing the mind. Um, Dr. Steve Peters is also the center behind this book, and because of this knowledge and experience and education he got, he's very trustworthy in what he's telling about in this book. The receiver of mind management is adults. I think maybe most women, because this book is about how to understand how the brain works and to get control over your thoughts. And I think it can often be women who has these problems with the thoughts, but of course it can also be men. It's generally people who have interest in psychological knowledge, and people with the problems of controlling their minds and thoughts. The message of mind management is to get knowledge of how the brain works. Dr. Steve Peters wants people to self-discovery and make some development as they read this book and understand how they can learn to control their mind and think more positive. He tells about the brain in split up in three things. It's the chimp, it's our emotions. Then there's the human, that's ourself. And then there's the computer, which is the storage that keeps information that it gets from both the chimp and the human. The human is the person you want to be. That's when you think rational and calmly. And the chimp, your emotions, is the person you don't necessarily want to be, because that's where the thoughts and emotions take over and you can be irrational and distressed, and the chimp is overpowering the human. Um, he's also telling about these 7 planets. There's the divided planet and the guiding moon. That's the most important, where he is telling that the chimp and the human lives on. It's our inner self and our battles in our mind. And if the divided planet and the guiding moon doesn't function, then the 6 other planets won't function either. So we have to get control over this before we can function as a human. He has some traits over the emotional thinking, which was the chimp. That's when we can quickly jump to an opinion. We think a lot black and white. There are no shades. We can easily be paranoid or have catastrophic thoughts. We can be irrational, and our judgment is made from an emotive perspective. The trait of logical thinking is evidence-based. It's rational in context, and we have perspective. And there are shades of gray, and we have a balanced judgment. And then he's telling about how to manage this computer, as he described our brain as. He tells there can be these kind of gremlins in our computer, which is useless. They have destructive behavior and beliefs. It's like when our computer is infected by virus, we have to find these gremlins and remove them, and the sooner the better, because if they stays in the computers for too long, they will be hard to separate from each other, and they will be hard to remove. We have to remove them with autopilots. That's useful, constructive behavior and beliefs. That's the good things, positive mind and thoughts, that should be in the computer instead of these gremlins. Shortly told, Dr. Steve Peters' message with this book is to get people to get confidence when knowing how the brain works and knowing how to control their own minds and thoughts. We want people to be able to remove their anxiety and have confidence and choose your emotions, so it isn't the emotions that controls your life. Um, so all in all, he wants people to understand and do a lot of this work by themselves, so they can have a better life and more positive and more confidence to be the persons they really are, instead of letting their minds take control over their lives.